We're going to get to Rhode Island here now and talk about the Rams. Let's start with the men's side. Archie Miller, and obviously no stranger to this league. He was the coach at Dayton for a number of years. Just did an awesome job there. Over to Indiana, comes back now here at Rhode. Coach, I'm thinking at this point, all right, there's a great fan base there. They're passionate about it. They got a nice arena. There was many of years that we were there, of course, when Dan Hurley was there, but I could see him starting to get this thing going again. But what's it going to take right now at Rhode Island?
I think that it has to be a smoother ride, right? Last year, young man Green comes in, he gets past double transfer, all of a sudden he's playing, ends up being their leading scorer. I think the idea of Archie fitting in not just the transfers, but they have to be impactful transfers. I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in Archie. You make a great point about the fan base, the facility, the recruiting network that they're doing. The big deal here is, can we have some smooth sail into the season?
That goes back to the adaptability that we were talking about, right? It's on the coaches as well to set that standard, but then it's also on the players to be that and to be adaptable. I think preseason player awards, Jaden House, all conference third team for this team. He averaged 14 points and scored the most for this team this season. I liked his numbers, 45% from the field, 32% from three. If he can get those up a couple of notches, he'll certainly help with the leadership. And you were talking about David Green as well, going to be a leader for this team this season, the 6'7" forward senior.
Okay. And come on, they have to address the defense. 13th in the A-10. No. That is not a Miller family trait, right?
No, definitely not. Picked 11th to start off this season. Again, we're hearing all these numbers, but again, there's room for improvement like we saw a lot last year. You look at some of the teams in the bottom right now, at least in terms of what everybody thinks. Rhode Island's 11, Davidson's 12, George Washington 13, Fordham 14, LaSalle 15. Who's going to come out of that pack there a little bit this year and say, no, we're going to take a jump up here. I'm willing to see if anybody can do that. I feel like a Rhode Island team might be one of those teams just based on the experience and the league that that Archie knows about. I mean, he knows this league.
Yeah.
So, Mike, if anybody out there knows which of these teams is going to make that jump, save your energy. Give me the Powerball numbers, Ice.
Right.
Give me the Powerball number.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just want to make your kind of money one time in my life. All right, Ice? Come on.
What do we have on the women's side for the Rhode Island Rams?
Yeah, preseason number 8, head coach Tammy Reese in her 6th season. She has done a terrific job at University of Rhode Island. 2-time A-10 Coach of the Year. Every year they're continuing to get better. Win percentage last year. She also was an assistant coach for the USA Women's 3x3 team. So she was in Paris this past summer. They earned a bronze medal. What to watch for with this team? Pace. It is a track meet. They want you to be out of breath in the first quarter. Rebounding. They are always so consistent on the glass. She continues to bring in players year after year that specialize in cleaning glass. And then three-point shooting, something that this team had last year with a couple of older players, but looking to stay consistent in that. A lot of their three-point shooting comes from Sophie Phillips, the senior guard, all-conference third team. She set the single-season record last year with 83 made three-pointers in a season. She is lights out. I'm not joking. There's nothing about it. She doesn't need daylight, Mike. She can get off at any time.
All right, well, let's hear what both teams and both coaches have to say. Time for the Rhode Island Rams press conference now here from Washington, D.C.
We're very, very excited about the league having the opportunity to utilize D.C. this spring, the conference tournament. It's a great venue. And it's good to get things kicked off with our league here. Like I said, we're excited for the start. We have some high, aspirations and goals with this group. And we had the opportunity, I think, for the first time to have a blend of what I would call returning guys and adding, key pieces to the puzzle here in the spring. I think in our previous 2 years, it's really hasn't been the case. And so to start with an off season in April, May, and June, have a foreign tour in August. We spent a lot of time together, and I think that's been the biggest difference as we have the season approaching. And, we have, like I said, some high aspirations and goals for this group. But it starts really with guys like David next to me, the returning guys. of spending time, developing them and then adding some pieces to it.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll open to the floor for questions.
Archie and David, if you want to follow up on this a little bit, I'm imagining that defense is probably one of the biggest off-season priorities for you guys. Just how much better do you think that end of the floor is going to be for you?
Well, I will start by saying that, defense is it's a non-negotiable. And I felt like for the first time in my tenure as a head coach in general, that side of the ball really was a disaster. And you can put it on me all the way to the staff to not being able to execute on that end, make that end as important as it needed to be. And, just in general, really dropping the ball, so to speak, in terms of like what we're doing. And this year, really back to the basics and a lot earlier. We spent a lot more time earlier in the spring, in the June and the July on the defense, and trying to get that back in check, that we can call that, so to speak, our calling card, that regardless of what's going on or where you're playing, you're going to have that at your disposal. And your effort level and your toughness level and your discipline on that side of the ball can carry you on days when maybe you're not making some shots, et cetera. So I can leave it to Dave as well. He's a smart guy. He can be, part of that, solving some of the problems on that equation here this season. But defense is definitely something that's got to be way different in terms of the approach on how we do things.
Yeah, for me personally, I want to take that part of my game to the next level. I know that I need to be like an anchor on defense for this team and to be using my voice and helping others be positioned right and everything that goes into playing defense. But that's something that I want to take personally this year, and I feel like it'll help us win more games and win the championship.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Coach, I know you talked about you had a nice blend of returners and also newcomers. Who are some newcomers on your team that will make an immediate impact for your squad?
Well, from a newcomer standpoint, they're all going to have a real definitive role. That's why they came, and we specifically, had the opportunity to present guys with the opportunity to come in and make an impact in different ways. But, between Sebastian Thomas coming back to us, Jamarcus Lawrence, and also Quentin Jabunje, you have 3 college guards with different levels of experience that all are going to fit special needs. I think if you look at Drisa Traore, and I think if you look at Javante Brown as 2 upper-class transfers inside, giving us a quality depth, both sides of the ball, really, kind of complements what we have returning. We also have 1 true freshman who's going to be a really, really good player in Tyone Farrell from Baltimore, Mount St. Joe's High School. And he was a great, great get for us, and he continues to be a bright spot here this fall for us as he continues to mature, get used to the college game, go through the ups and the downs. He has a chance to impact us in different ways as well. But I think all of our newcomers really fit pretty good in terms of their role that we're going to have, and I think that complements the guys that are returning as well. I think that rotation, that chemistry, very important.
Archie, how do you build a roster in the age of the transfer portal? Do you try to balance between transfers and incoming freshmen? Is that something that's changing from year to year for you?
Man, I think that, Dave, it's a great question, and if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I would have spit out an articulate, real plan of attack. But the rules keep changing, and the money involved keeps changing. And now you have where it was one-time sit transfers, now that everyone can, So in the last couple springs, falls and springs, as you head in just a 2-year window, your ability to retain has changed, your ability to recruit in the portal has changed, and then the high school role has really changed. So it's really changed a lot, in terms of having the perfect blueprint. I also feel you have to be really flexible in understanding each year is going to be different. The days of saying this is what we're going to look like next year with all of our returning players, and those days are gone. I think you have to fight really hard to develop your team year to year, and then you have to really fight really hard to develop and retain your good players, and then your needs have to be met. I do think the high school recruiting, I think a lot of people will understand once the COVID fifth-year guys are gone, the portal's going to diminish from a percentage standpoint, which is going to increase high school basketball's value for programs like ours, where you're not just completely invested in the portal. And I don't think you can depend on the portal as much anymore with that percentage going away. You know, there's just going to be shorter inventory, you know, so to speak. So the role of redshirting now plays a big role. It really does, from a high school perspective, and you know, from the overall numbers of scholarships moving forward. I think keeping your roster developing from within and getting older from within is really how you really truly want to get old. But we have a blend this year, which was unique. We were able to bring back, you know, 4 guys that all started games and played minutes, 2 of which are true freshmen. They're going into their sophomore year, so I'm excited to see those guys go from the year 1 to 2. You have David and Jaden, who are seniors, who are going into their last year, have some stability. You know, always being in practice every day right now, coming off an injury. You could probably even ask Dave. He's a much different player in year 2. So the retention is big deal for us. I think the additions, like I said, they have to have specific needs, and giving those guys the opportunity to build the team. But short answer, year to year, you're going to have to figure your own thing out. I think we're all on a search to do that.
Just real quick, one last question. We're running out of time.
Archie, Jonathan Tannenwald of the Philadelphia Inquirer. It continues a little bit on the point that you just made. For all the stops that you've had now in your career as you settle in for another season at Rhode Island, where you've been at Indiana, you've been at Dayton, you've been here, you've been a lot of big time and many different levels of programs. Where do you see yourself personally at this point on this whole huge and ever-changing landscape?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it, you know, in terms of like where do I see myself fitting in. I know the one thing is I love Rhode Island. I love the people there. I love our fans, and I desperately want to build a winner. I want to get back to stability in terms of like running a program that's competing for all of the great things that we all signed up to do. It's been very challenging in this early part of our tenure here to navigate the waters, whether it's keeping good players, recruiting high school players, what you inherited when you first got there. We have to find a way, in my opinion, to have this team with this group really be united on a cause of like, hey, it's time to get to that next level. Let's go. And then build a winner off of these guys and their experience. But to me personally, I love being at URI, and my dream is to be able to build a championship caliber program, and that's what I'm focused on right now doing here at Rhode Island. In the big scheme of the world, I don't really get into that a whole lot. I'm just enjoying coaching, and I like where I'm at.
Great. Thank you guys for your time.
All
Thank
right.
you, David.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Coach.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, a lot of stuff there from Archie Miller, head coach of the Rhode Island Rams. And, you know, Phil, we were just talking about it before we came back on here. It's like there's so much stuff going on. He brought up a lot of great points there. But at some point, right, back when, you know, you were coaching, it's like there's things that come against you. There's things you got to deal with. What do you say to your guys? How do you get them to just focus and be like, all right, we're playing basketball here now, and then also the things you need to do to help them become better people and men in life. You know what I mean? It's just a lot.
I've always believed that a foundational piece is daily improvement. Can I help you, and can I insist that you become a better person, that you become a better player, you become a better student? And it's daily. It's not let's take a big jump this week, ice, and then next week we'll, no. It's a daily improvement, and you can't take on all of this.
No.
Like get zeroed in. What is most important? If you heard what Archie said, he talked, basketball-wise, he talked about defense, and he also talked about protecting and promoting the brand that was and will be with him Rhode Island basketball.
No, that's a great point. They continue to try to build that back up there at Rhode Island. We'll see if they can do it this year. Let's go back to the podium. Tammy Reese on the women's side now for the Rams.